In this session, I want to talk about what it's going to take for you to maintain and manage your program once you've established it. And I think there's a little bit of helpful context to think about what you're going to have to do to maintain that program. And that is thinking about the common work streams and then also thinking about what does an actual audit look like? Like, how am I going to interact with the auditor? What's all the evidence I have to provide them? And how is that going to play into keeping a program up and running so I can pass the audit year over year? So what I want to do first is I want to talk about what to expect during an audit and then give you some advice on maintaining your program so that you're always successful during an audit. So when it comes to what to expect during an audit, a few things just to consider. Who's going to be audited? What are those walkthroughs? What does the evidence look like? And then you can kind of think about your program as a whole and what it's going to take to maintain it. So number one is leadership. Leadership will be involved in the audit. They're going to have to do things like approve all the policies. They're going to have to keep their meeting minutes for the risk council meetings. They're going to have to make decisions on risks. And during the actual audit, they're probably going to have to provide some audit evidence, but they're also going to have to interface with the external auditor. So I would kind of plan for an hour or two of time with the auditor, with your top level leadership, whoever the leaders of your management system are. The next group of individuals is kind of your GRC team, your security team, risk management, whoever that group is. And they're going to do a similar type of activities like providing evidence. They're going to review policies. They're probably members of the risk council meeting as well as leadership. That's probably the group who's executing the risk assessment. They might be doing vendor risk assessments and doing your third-party risk management program. And they're going to have to do a lot of prep for the external audit themselves. So what I typically say is for the week or weeks of the audit, plan on at least half your week, 4 or up to 40 hours, a full work week of time with the auditor, either gathering audit evidence as a sprint ahead of the external audit or interfacing directly with the auditor for audit walkthroughs themselves. A lot of our clients, they'll dedicate several weeks ahead of the external audit, prepping everyone who's going to be in interviews, gathering evidence, checking evidence before they hand it over to the external auditor just to make sure everything's good, ready to go, and is packaged nicely. The third group of individuals that are often impacted is your product and engineering team, especially in ISO 42001 when we're talking about AI, and especially if your company is responsible for building a product related to AI. So you're thinking about things like their philosophy for integrating AI, all the policies that they have related to AI and SDLC. They will probably select samples of tickets where you implemented AI products to make sure you did AI impact assessments and built the trust by design into your AI product development process. So all the evidence that you'll have to work on gathering with them, that'll take quite a while. And there's probably going to be like half a week of walkthroughs because for ISO 42001, especially if you're a product company, a lot of the work is talking to those product teams or CTO, whoever's over the engineering group, and how they're building all of those AI trust by design concepts into the products that they're building. And then the last team I'll kind of mention that often has a pretty hefty workload is your legal team. Legal teams are usually reviewing and writing policies. They're probably, again, involved in your risk council meetings, maybe your risk assessments. They're probably including language in your contracts. So if you're a product company and you have contracts with customers and you're defining how you use AI and the responsible use of AI, they're typically involved in that. And they will have to speak to the auditor. It's a little less than the other teams, but I usually say, hey, plan for 8 or 16 hours, 1 or 2 days of audit effort, either preparing for the audit, gathering audit evidence, and interfacing directly with the auditor. And that's kind of what you can expect. So as you can see, it's a lot of teams that are going to be involved. There's a huge amount of prep work just for the audit itself. There's gathering audit evidence, and then there's also doing walkthroughs with the auditor. And that's not even including like all the maintenance, day-to-day activity, the controls that you have to operate to maintain the program itself. So what a lot of companies do is they manage this very ad hoc. There's like an Excel spreadsheet. They're doing it over email. There's maybe a folder where they're exchanging information with the auditor or internally. It's just very inefficient. So in way of maintaining a program, I want to recommend that you guys consider a GRC platform. So at Risk 360, we have a GRC platform called Full Circle. It's purpose built for these kind of audits. It has multiple frameworks in there. So if you're wondering about the controls, how to interpret those controls, it gives guidance on that. where you can exchange information with people, you can gather audit evidence, you can assign controls, you can do dashboarding, you can do a ton of stuff in there that really makes managing these programs and maintaining audits, especially if you're multi-framework, very, very easy. Some of the things I'll throw out there is how you're going to manage policies. You have to write those policies, you have to refresh them every year. You have to do risk assessments. You have to maintain a risk register, share that risk register with the team. The biggest lift really is you have to maintain and manage controls. So you have a whole AIMS and you also have 38 controls just for ISO 42001. How are you going to manage those controls and make sure that they're operating effectively for the audit? A GRC platform can help with that. And then for every control, so if there's 38 controls that you have to manage for this framework, there's probably 2 or 3 pieces of audit evidence that the auditor will ask for to make sure that you can operate that control. So a GRC platform will help you tie the control to the audit evidence. For example, if one of your controls that you have an AI policy and you have 10 AI policies, so one control might have 10 policies attached to it, and you want to be able to manage those really seamlessly, create an audit package and hand it over to the external auditor. It'll also help you manage all of your tasks and projects. So if you have like a reoccurring weekly meeting to talk about risk, if you have reviews that you have to do or impact assessments that happen on a periodic basis, and you just want to manage all those tasks and tie them back to your controls, the GRC platform will help with that. And also managing third-party risk. If you want to assess your vendors, log all of your vendors and assess them for AI risk, a platform can help with that. And a whole lot more. That's just a little bit of that. So you're going to need to consider, are you going to build this like through Excel spreadsheets and emails and kind of guesswork on your own, or are you going to do this with a GRC platform? And I highly recommend that you consider a GRC platform. At Risk 360, when we implement ISO programs, we follow our 4-step implementation process. And out of that, we also build the GRC platform, kind of a system for you. So the end deliverable is your whole program plus something that you can maintain. So just consider that as you're building out your own program. There's a lot of great GRC platforms out there. I just want to strongly advise you to consider that as you move through your journey and how you're going to maintain that. So I hope that's helpful and add a little bit of insight into how we think about things, and I'll see you in the next session.